Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try to marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My at name has not changed. It's right there under one of my necklaces. They're at Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. Shout out to everyone who is watching on our YouTube channel. Seahawks Man to Man is the name of the channel. That is Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. Make sure you like, comment, review, subscribe, all the good buttons. Press them for us. Do the same thing on our Instagram and our TikTok. Both handles are the same. Seahawks Man to Man. That is Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. Even if you're an audio listener exclusively, that's fine. Go over there, hit those buttons, come right back. It means a lot just doing that. So thank you in advance. Chris, go ahead and talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter. That's CKIDD206 and that's CKid206.
All right, we are coming to you guys Sunday night. The Seahawks just gave another belt to booty. It's Sunday night, but the game was Sunday afternoon. Beat up on the Cardinals. Final score of 44-22. Ugh. Boy, yeah, that is a lot less close than the first time these two teams played. That is the 4th straight win for the Seattle Seahawks. They improved to 7-2. And I just tweeted out actually a screen grab of the NFC standings. And the Seahawks are, at the time of this recording, the number 1 team in the conference. The Eagles and the Packers play on Monday night. The Eagles could get to 7 wins, which would, I think, they would, and they'd have a better conference record, so they would just leapfrog them. But the point is, and why I'm bringing that up is, Chris, there are some prerequisites in the NFL to be taken seriously. As you know, we've been doing this for a little bit. And it's not just record. We've seen some teams with phony records, get exposed as the team goes, as the season goes on. You look at that 13-3 Vikings team, or 13 and whatever. That Vikings team of 2022 that won like 13 games, but had a negative point differential by the end of the year and was very unserious. I think there was a Steelers team not too long ago that was like 11-0. Maybe 2020, and it was just very clear that they were fraud, and ended up being fraud, right? Like you got to pass the eye test to be taken seriously in this league, and sometimes it's not just numbers, or it's not just what your record says, how good or bad that you are. There's point differential, and then there's the belt to booty test. The second one I just made up, but it feels applicable because the Seahawks seem to be passing the belt to booty test. And when I say that, I mean when they are on in a way that makes the opponent off, and it turns into a beat them down very quickly. If you went to go get gas, scratch your butt, make coffee, or go grab sour cream for the nachos the last couple of weeks of watching Seahawks game, you blinked and then they were up 25 or 30 and the game was over. Like that's it. You drink the ice in your drink barely melts before these guys are up 30-0. And that, Chris, is some of the most impressive stuff I've seen from a Seahawks team, more so than the 2018 team that was really good at running the ball, more impressive than even the Let Russ Cook team in 2020 in the first half. This is some of the most impressive Seahawks ball. It passes the test. It passes the test as well as any team I've seen since probably that 2015 team, maybe even 2014. Like, this is some high level ball that we are watching from the Seahawks right now.
There are 2 things that are constant, that are consistent, and that always happen week in and week out. Number 1, the defense is dominant. What more can I say? Tyrese Knight, back-to-back plays. Well, not back-to-back plays, but he had 2 of the same plays. A forced fumble, sack, picked up by DeMarcus Lawrence for a touchdown. If I told you I had a dream that Tyrese Knight had a game where he had 2 sacks, forced fumbles, and DeMarcus Lawrence scored twice, you would say, damn, Chris, that is the most insane dream. The fact that that's reality, absurd. In the same game, by the way. It wasn't as if it happened one week and it happened again the next week. It happened in the same game. The same game. Different blitzes, but Tyrese Knight finds the quarterback, forced fumble, and somehow the ball bounces to DeMarcus Lawrence, and he runs it in for a touchdown. That is insane. And then the other factor is Jackson Smith and Jigba is unguardable. Those two things can get you pretty far. A dominant defense and having a good receiver. And you know what? Maybe a third thing in there as well. Mike McDonald. He deserves his own credit here. He has a culture. He has the guys believing, and you see it on the field with the defense and what he's doing. The pressures. Mike and I were talking off wax, and I said, damn, Mike, is he the best at generating pressure? Because it seems as if every week he is embarrassing quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are looking around wondering, how the hell did he get through? When they panned in on Jacoby Brissett's face after he got nailed for the second time for a forced fumble touchdown, the confusion on his face, he didn't have any answers. The coordinator didn't have any answers. It's really Mike McDonald just being better than what the opposing team is bringing to the table. It doesn't matter who's out there. He's dialing stuff up, and it is really impressive. And he's only sending 5 guys. He's not blitzing. Remember, 5 guys rushing the quarterback is considered a pressure. That's what he does. He is really talented at that, really good at that. And he sends it from the left side, or he fakes it from the left and it comes off the right or right up the gut, having fat man drop into coverage. If you guys remember last season against the New York Jets, it was a pressure that Leonard Williams got a touchdown on. They sent a blitz or a pressure from one way, dropping Leonard Williams into the middle of the field. The ball gets tipped into the air. Leonard catches it. Touchdown. Mike McDonald is just phenomenal at it. And there are other guys who are just as good, if not better. Spags for the Chiefs. He does a really good job. And then Flores, as Mike alluded to when we talked about it off wax, another defensive coordinator that's able to dial up pressures. And Mike McDonald for the past month has been dialing it up. And it seems as if he's getting better and better, because to this point, the Seahawks have struggled in getting turnovers. But today, they hit the jackpot. Turnover mania. That's what you want to see. Obviously, it'd be nice to get an interception in there, but if I looked on the list, that guy that you guys wanted to bench, the guy that you wanted the Seahawks to trade, Tariq Woolen. Oh man, 4 pass defenses. Him and Nicky Memori played really good. Or actually, Nicky Memori had 4. I think Reek had 2 or 3. Nonetheless, Reek looked really good out there. He looked confident. He was beat on a couple of plays, didn't give up, made excellent effort plays. Excellent effort. And when he's locked in, like Mike McDonald said, he is really talented. So those are 3 things that I'm just saying are a given. JSN's going to always be open. Mike McDonald doing his thing as the head coach, and the defense playing at an elite level, the best defense in the NFL right now. Seahawks fans, you should be booking your tickets to the Super Bowl, because right now they're making a case that they can do something special. This defense has done really well. And mind you, who are they missing, Mike? Oh, yeah, Julian Love, their Pro Bowl safety. He's out. Oh, Josh Jobe, he got banged up. Ernest Jones, their best linebacker, their play caller, their leader, he's out. He missed the game on Sunday. So for them to put this type of performance,
Jaron Reed too.
Oh yeah, Jaron Reed's going to be on IR with that wrist injury. So he is on IR, excuse me. So you're talking about a team that's going through injuries just like any other NFL team, but they are finding a way. And Mike McDonald is putting his guys in position to go out and execute the game plan, and they do it perfectly. They do it so well. When you're up 28-0, and I'm thinking, damn, do I really have to take notes for the rest of this game? Because it's over. It's over. But they are putting on a masterclass, and be on notice, y'all. Be on notice. The Seahawks are looking to do something very special this season, and they damn sure they might be able to do it.
Yeah, two things. Yeah, you're correct about all those constants, by the way. The other one I would add to the JSN, I would say like add a semicolon, is the pass protection is going to be solid. Yeah. Pass protection is very, very good. Even the sack fumble. Well, I want to keep making mention of it because we have spent a lot of podcasts over the last few years complaining about the pass protection and bemoaning the bad pass pro that we've had to watch for years and years and years. So when it's finally good and consistent, I definitely want to call that out in a positive way. Even the sack that Sam had, we'll talk about Sam today. The sack fumble, that Sam needs to get rid of the ball. Like Abe's holding his block. Get rid of the ball. So I mean, could you hold the block longer? Sure. But at that point in the down, get rid of the ball. So I would add that to the list of constants as well. And that's a huge one. That's how you get taken seriously is you can protect your quarterback. Two things. One, you guys know we're a big point differential podcast. The Seahawks, speaking of this belt to booty test, Seahawks guys are at plus 103.
Good God.
Plus 103. There's only two teams plus 100 or better. Seahawks are 103. Colts are at 115. And I think we're in week 10, so the sample size is large enough now. This is starting to mean something. The Rams, for what it's worth, are plus 98, so not too far. So there's teams really separating themselves in Philly and Green Bay play on Monday night. So, but neither one of their point differentials are real crazy unless someone wins by 60 tomorrow or tonight, whenever you're listening to the pod. It won't change the rankings there. So that's important. They're putting a hurting on teams. They're not winning by the skin of their teeth, which it is important to win close. You do need to know how to win that. You just can't live in that world. It's just very dangerous. Even the Chiefs just took that to the extreme last year. I think they won every one-score game that they played last year. And then when it was time to play like a legitimate team, one that like scored 60 in the conference championship, they got smoked by the Eagles because the Eagles were a real team. The Chiefs were like a real clutch team. The Eagles were a real team. And I think those are two different things. You see those teams with the big win totals, but small point differentials because they're winning by the skin of their teeth. And when they lose, they run into a real club. So I think that's one of the notable things that stands out just about the team as a whole is they're really putting a hurting on folks. The second thing before we get into voicemails and questions is what Chris just alluded to in terms of who's getting it done. And I think that their defenses tend to be like sculpted in a few different ways. Like, for instance, I think the Texans are one of the teams who can argue that they also have the best defense in the league. And I really wouldn't argue. I think the Rams, Texans, and Seahawks all rotate between being the best teams. If the Broncos were to say they have the best defense, I would not argue a Broncos fan. I would just disagree, and we'd have to just walk away from one another. But I would get where they're coming from because that Denver pass rush is ridiculous. They're on pace for like 70 sacks or something. So I get that. But I bring up the Texans and the Seahawks defense because I think the Texans are kind of constructed in what we would call like a more traditional way, right? They have like one of those kind of meathead, hard-hitting inside linebackers, which is Azeez Al-Shaair. They have a shutdown corner, which is like traditionally what you want to build your team around. And then they have like this unstoppable pass rusher, which in their case is Will Anderson Jr. They have other good players as well, but usually when you're like building out your defense, you're like, oh, let's get a shutdown corner, let's get an edge rusher, like you kind of try to build it a certain way. It's not to say the Seahawks don't have blue chippers like that, but I don't think their success is built around that. I think their success is built around literally anybody on the field on any given snap can make the biggest play of the game on defense. It can be Tyrese Knight. It can be Ty Okada. He had that fourth down stop on the goal line. It can be Reek. It can be literally anybody. I'm not going to name the whole roster. But I think you guys get the point when you watch these games. It feels like there's a different person every game seemingly making an impact play. And that is by design. That is not happenstance. Like Mike McDonald structures this thing this way. It's not this like, oh, I don't need good players. But it is just like, if you give me a guy, I will find what makes him good and find as many different ways to weaponize that. Like you said, Nicky Memori had a bazillion pass breakups today. Not by chance. Like he's putting Nick in positions like, hey, this is what's coming. Here's what you're good at. If you do this, the ball should find you. Ball finds energy. Is what they like to say. Same thing with Reek. Same thing with Josh Jobe. Same thing with Spoon, Leo, Murph. Like anybody can be weaponized depending on the game plan, depending on the play call, whether it's Drake Thomas. Anybody can blitz in this scheme. Jesus Christ. We saw Jay Love get a blitz. Ty Okada has a sack. T Knight had 2. I think Drake Thomas has 2. Like anybody can get a sack. Nicky Memori got his first one. Boye got his first one. It's week 10. Right? And that's not because Boye is a bad pass rusher. It's because everybody gets a chance to go do it. And I think that makes your defense very dangerous because it's not one of those, all right, if Myles Garrett isn't commanding the double teams up front, they're not sliding the protections his way, then what do we do? No. It's not like that. It's not like some of those Raiders defenses where it's like, okay, Max is the gravity that makes the whole Max Crosby makes the whole thing go. So that's what our thing is built around. Or like the Niners, where it's like, okay, we're building this thing around Bosa and Fred being our blue chippers, and we kind of make everything orbit around that. The Jets defenses with Robert Saleh, it was like, okay, you can't block Quinnen Williams, you can't throw it on Sauce. We kind of work around that. And they obviously had other good players too. Seahawks aren't like that. It's like, dude, all 11 of our guys right now are ballers. And if they're not ballers on any given snap, on any given snap, this blitz, this coverage, it's because it's not just blitzes. Sometimes the play call will be, okay, we're going to send this pressure, knowing that if the ball is out quick, it goes here. To your point about Chris about that Jets game, that's a design pressure. It's like we know he's going to try to throw hot to Garrett Wilson. If we show this look from this down and distance on this hash, if Leonard just drops right here, ball should hit him in the face. That's by design. Like it's not accident. So I think that's what makes it really stands out live on tape. It's dangerous. It is. It's tough. It's tough to game plan for, I'd imagine. It's like, well, you have to game plan for maybe Ty Okada gets a free run at your quarterback. Maybe Byron Murphy gets a free run at your quarterback. Maybe DeMarcus Lawrence gets a free run at your quarterback. Maybe Tyrese Knight does, So I'm glad you mentioned Mike McDonald, Chris, because he is a diabolical dude over there to the point where he does it without compromising the back end. You don't just see a bunch of guys. It's not Engage 8 and Madden where everyone's just manned up across the board. Everyone has to cover a bunch of vertical routes because we blitzed. No. Zone drops and disguises and ways to still keep the whole shell intact without just risking everything to send heat. And that's huge. And because it works so well, I can't imagine being a quarterback trying to prepare for this. Stafford's going to have his hands full. We'll preview that game later, but it's amazing ball schematically that they're playing right now. It's very, very, very tough to stop. And that's why the Seahawks have earned the right to call themselves an elite team. Seahawks are an elite team. Without
one more thing before we get to questions via voicemail, Blue Sky, and Twitter. I mean, how many defensive-minded coaches are sending a double cornerback blitz consistently? It's not like, oh, I'm just sending it every year, once a year. Mike McDonald has sent it, I think, 4 times this season and was successful. He's not afraid to send 2 cornerbacks on a blitz, dropping linebackers into those areas with the safety over the top. And that's how Ty Okada, I think, got an interception. He sent, I think, maybe 1 corner blitz on that. But nonetheless, Mike McDonald, to your point, Mike, he's just putting guys in an area where he knows, oh, it's 3rd and 11. All right, we're going to do this. But to be honest, Mike McDonald calls the double cornerback blitz on just random, like it's 1st and 10. Like, are you serious? you're starting the drive on a double cornerback blitz, and it's money. Sometimes the guy will miss, but it hasn't been they got burned because he left the middle of the field wide open. That has not been the issue. Mike McDonald has guys dialed in and locked in, knowing the responsibilities, and schematically they get to where they need to be. And the play looks so good when it works. And even when it doesn't work, even when the pass is thrown out of bounds because the quarterback's under pressure, you're starting to see like, damn, if you're a quarterback, you really have your mind spinning. You don't know who or what is coming. You even have a running back into the block, and it still doesn't matter because someone comes up the gut, which Tyrese Knight did on Sunday versus the Cardinals twice. So, yeah, a lot of credit there for Mike McDonald, what he's doing with his defense. But Mike did mention voicemails, and I think it's time to get to the mic. Are you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right.
Thanks for all the great podcasts. I really enjoy listening to your shows every week during Seahawks season. I was wondering, do you think the Seahawks offense has a turnover problem? Thanks, guys. Bye.
No, thanks. Appreciate the question. No, I don't think the offense has a turnover problem. I think Sam has one. Because if I'm not mistaken, boy, I don't want to say this on the show. Should I say this on the show, Chris? Because I don't want to jinx it. I don't.
Is there a way you can say it without? I guess not. Just say it.
Okay. I will say it then. I will say it. I say the offense does not have a turnover problem, and that Sam does. Sam's the only one really turning it over. Like when they run the ball, they don't fumble. Chris, Ken Walker's never lost a fumble. You know that, and he's been on the team 4 years. Zach's never even put it on the ground, I believe. I think Ken has at least fumbled once. He didn't lose it. And Zach's never put it on the ground. Like, so the offense doesn't have a problem. And I think Jackson fumbled one. Jackson and another player have fumbled. Arroyo, maybe. They've had other fumbles, but the point is, what I'm trying to say is Sam has one. And Chris has always had one. That's been the case. He has I was just telling Chris before we recorded, Sam has the second highest turnover rate in the league, according to True Media. Let me just pull this back up. I believe the number one guy is Tua, which would probably not surprise you if you just even watched a little bit of YouTube this year. I mean, Tua just loves having multiple turnovers in the game. I think every time he turns the ball over, he does it like multiple times. It's actually pretty nuts. I'm gonna pull this back up. All right, turnovers per play. Let me see, get these guys. Yeah, oof. Oh boy, yeah, this is rough. Yeah, Tua leads the league at 4.3. Sam's at 4.0. Chris, you ready for me to put this in some real perspective for you? What those numbers mean?
Let's do it.
You want to know who's number 3 turnover rate? Geno Smith, 3.7. So if you're watching Raiders games and you're like, damn, Geno sure does turn it over a bunch on a per play basis, Seahawks guys doing the same thing. Now, some of it is a little fluky, had some balls go in the air. The one today, I think, hit his teammate's helmet, but that's how turnovers go. That you're not always just throwing the ball to the team. And then with fumbles, they just bounce funky. Like the Seahawks got 2 balls to bounce perfectly their way today. And then I would say 3. Shaheed put the ball on the ground on the kickoff. Thank God for Brady Russell. That easily could have gone the other way. So it's a small play in the grand scheme, but in terms of showing you how turnovers can just be good fortune, that play was a really good example. It kind of gets forgotten because Brady saved it. Otherwise, we were talking about the new guy putting the ball on the ground the minute he showed up, which would be a huge no. But yeah, I think they do have a problem there. But I think it's also tied to when the real problem that I think is being able to run the ball, which is what they did today. That was, we and Chris were talking about this pre-show too. That 13 play, 79-yard drive that spanned between the third quarter and into the fourth ended with a field goal. At 12 straight runs. The 13th play, I believe, was the kick, the field goal. That's 12 straight runs. Most of them under center. Most of them with Zach. K9 sprinkled in for, I think, 2 of them. AJ Barner had one of them barnyards in there too to get a first down. 4 first down runs on that drive. That is how you avoid turning the ball over. Because again, Ken and Zach aren't putting the ball on the ground. So if they're not putting the ball on the ground, how do you avoid turnovers? Well, you hand it to them and you block for them and they get first downs and you win games. That is how you avoid that. They haven't been able to do that. And Sam's the same guy, I think, largely he's been probably for the last few years, in that if you just ask him to carry you, he's just not one of those guys who I would reasonably want to do that because, as he mentioned today post-game, sometimes the ball just bounces the wrong way. That happens. And it happens for him. It happens for other guys too. It happens for quarterbacks I think are good and accurate. I think Geno, actually, Tua and Sam, all the guys who lead in turnover rate are very accurate quarterbacks, actually. Who actually mostly make good decisions. Tua, not so much this year, or Geno, but over the span of all their careers, they make good decisions. They're turning the ball over a bunch, right? Because sometimes your guy runs the wrong route, or whatever. A ball bounces funky. But yeah, the problem they have a turnover problem. I'm putting it in air quotes for my YouTube folks. I have a turnover problem, I would say, Chris, but it's tied to the run game problem. You run it. And Sam doesn't have to throw from his own end zone against the Texans. You can run out of that. That drive I just mentioned, that 13 play drive, you know where it started? At the 8. Started at the 8-yard line. But they were able to get 30 yards on first down by running it. So now they're not backed up. When you can do that, then you don't have to put the ball in the air unnecessarily. Like sometimes you just got to throw. But like we opened the show with, they've been up 28-0, the blink of an eye. Sam shouldn't have to throw a ball again. He has to because of the way their offense has been structured. And that is a problem. And I think the way you mitigate that because every quarterback's gonna turn it over. That's just it. It's just not Sam. That's Mahomes. That's Josh. That's Lamar, Burrow, whoever, Stafford. You avoid that by putting the ball in your running back's stomach and moving out of the way. Sam can't turn it over if he gives it to Ken. Can't turn it over if he gives it to Zach. So yeah, they do have a problem, but I think the real problem in that has been their inability to run the ball when they're ahead. That's why you've seen these second half go this way. When they run the ball well, Sam can't do nothing wrong as long as the snap is clean.
Well said, Mike. Well said. All right.
What's up, gentlemen? This is Chris Leeper from Everett, your number one fan. I just wanted to ask, we're facing the Rams next week in a big game, and they got 13 personnel working pretty good out of their offense, and if Ernest Jones is out again, how do you see the Seahawks countering that? Do you think they play more heavy sets with more linebackers? Do you think they're going to use Eamon Worry more in like a linebacker role? Let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, Chris. Chris does ask questions quite a bit. Damn near every show, it feels like.
Yes.
Post game.
Yes.
So, God, I don't know who our biggest fan is per se, but I think I think Ryan Turner probably has a good case there as well. But Chris, did they talk about this on the broadcast at all to start the game about going heavy and how the Seahawks will handle that?
To be honest, I'm one of the guys that I don't watch any pregame stuff.
No, I'm talking about just to start the game on the first drive.
I don't recall them talking about it. They did go to Jax though and do a little pregame interview and just be like, "Hey Jax, you're killing it this season. You're gonna kill it some more today." And he's just very humble. "Oh, we're gonna see what the defense gives us. I might, it's a team thing here." Very, very well spoken in that regard. Because if it was my ass, I'm about to burn these boys. They're not about to stop me. But that's just me. But back to your point, no, I don't recall them talking about the personnel. No, I don't recall hearing anything like that. Now I feel bad because they probably did, and I just missed it.
No, it's okay because it was something that I noticed right away just because I'm checking my notes here. I wish I had reading glasses. That would really
Oh yeah, you're real funny.
No, it just makes it look more sophisticated when I pull out my notebook, when people
Oh yeah. Yeah. Why don't you just find your notes, buddy?
I'm finding my notes. Okay, so the Cardinals on their first drive, they came out in their heavy personnel on their first play, and the Seahawks matched that with their base defense. And I thought that was they had like a 5-man front, and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting of Arizona. I wonder how much of that is because they're missing Ernest and Jay Reed, and they didn't stay in it much because you couldn't, because like I said, they were down 35-0. It very quickly. OC was like, well, damn, half the play sheet don't matter now. So kind of felt bad for him. But when the game was still within reach, I thought I saw something that the Rams, to the point of this personnel question, can probably try to go to, because when you are missing Jay Reed, who's on IR, has to miss at least 3 more games. If they are missing Ernest next week, I don't know if they'll miss him. If they will have him, excuse me. I do think that is something of note that the Seahawks are going to have to game plan for. Okay, what happens when the other team goes real heavy? Not to say they can't handle that. They had some goal line stands today where it was heavies on heavies, with Spoon off the field, Reek off the field, particularly on the goal line. But that is something I'm paying attention to, because they did have another snap later in the game. I forget when it was. It was still a blowout, but it wasn't as bad. Actually, no, it was their second drive. Their second drive on the play where Drake Thomas blows up the running back.
They run to the left, and he runs right by the two. He runs by the guard in the center. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that running back got a ghetto name. Zonovan?
Oh, he got destroyed.
I think he goes by Bam, which he should. That's a ghetto name. Anyway, so on that play, though, I'm bringing that up because Reek was not on the field. I noted that he left because they were in their big base. I think the only corners, quote unquote, were Nick and Spoon. And that was interesting because then it led to obviously a 2-yard loss, and they ended up punting, and the game was pretty much over after that, which is probably, because then it became like 21-0 very quickly on the Halani run, then it was over. So, but I noticed that on the first couple of drives. I also have another play I wrote down. They were in their big base, which I'm just naming it that from my notes. It was their third play of their second drive, ended up being just a 2-yard run to this Zonovan Knight cat for and Kobe ends up making a really big stick. I think if you remember that, like a really big tackle.
I do.
So that was only 2 yards. But I wrote those plays down in the personnel because I was like, oh, the Cardinals very clearly see something to exploit and something I probably would exploit too. I was like, okay, let's match heavies. Because if you want to play a DB battle with the Seahawks, you're probably going to lose. The Seahawks DBs are very good. And they pressure you like, okay, well, how do you do that? How do you counter that? Well, let's put some big boys on the field and let's run this pill. Let's play action, make them have to play blocks. So, yeah, I do think, I'm glad somebody asked that. Maybe Chris is our biggest fan. I think that's a very relevant question for the future because I saw some stuff today where I was like, not to say it worked. It didn't. It was a 2-yard run and a negative 2-yard run, but it stood out in terms of, okay, if I'm another team, how do I attack this version of the Seahawks? How do I avoid those double cornerback blitzes? Run the ball. Run the ball. And I think that's something the Rams are going to really try to exploit. And the answer will be more heavies, more Nick, maybe pulling Reek off. I think that's going to be the counter to it. But you still got to get off and play the block. So that's going to be important in week 11, I think.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's Mike from the other Washington. I just watched DeMarcus Lawrence's interview. He was talking about how the defense was shadowboxing and everything. And a name for the defense has got to be something with shadowbox, right? Shadowbox, like QBs are seeing shadows. It all starts with the front seven in the box. That's where all the veteran leadership is on defense and for the whole team, really. So, thanks submission for this defense, shadowbox.
Interesting. I'm not mad at it.
There was I was like, damn, that was good. And shout out to the baby in the background,
Yeah,
all
I know
love.
that. I know that world for sure. For the people who are old, like me, the shadow boxing thing. I don't know how much you guys see it. It's like, how would you describe it, Chris? The shadow game. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do, but now do tell. Continue.
You've seen it, where it's two guys looking at each other and they're making motions, and the other person is reacting to the action.
Yeah,
I put my hand up. You're supposed to put your hand out, your head down.
Yeah,
and kick like that.
Yeah. I got you.
Yes, it's that. I can put an example. Maybe I could put a example in here, but that's how they decided their Halloween contest winner. They had Tori go against the center. Federico, I think is his name.
Oh, the back.
Yeah, he was dressed as like Nacho Libre, I think. And then Tory Horton was a pimp named Slickback. And they did like a shadow boxing thing on the auditorium stage. And I think Tory won. But that game that they're playing, if you walk in the locker room during the week, that's all anybody's doing. It's like 5 games going at once. It's so interesting. I don't understand it. But I bring that up. That's the context of DeMarcus saying that, and it's just like a team bonding thing because that's one of the many activities, or I say one of the few activities that's consistent with guys interacting with players that aren't in their position group. Like you'll just see Ken and DeMarcus Lawrence just shadowboxing, and they don't even say nothing. They just walk up to each other like, "All right, come on, boom, move their hand this way, move their head this way." It's very interesting. But yeah, it's a shadow box. I like that. I can get down with that. So yeah, let's put that on the list. I still am a very big fan of the mob. I like the mob, but I can feel Mike from the other Washington on the shadow box.
And our last voicemail here.
Yo, Mike and Chris, this is Ross from Iowa. I've been a long-time listener the last 5-6 years. Love the content you guys put out. But my question is, this team is looking pretty damn good. We have a full rounded out roster. We're doing good things, but how important is injuries going to play into this last few months? Like, we are looking good, but I'm a little nervous. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, shout out, man. Iowa. That is love. That is love. Yeah. Like we were talking about earlier, I think that the best thing about the defense, at least to stay on the other side of the ball, is that I'd say the injuries don't matter. Like, I think they would be better if they had Julian, Josh, Ernest, Jay Reed, the high end players on the team, which those guys are, particularly Julian, I would say, and Jay Reed. And Ernest. They matter. But the way Mike is scheming it up is very impressive, and I'm giving credit to Mike and his coaching staff too. Not too long ago we saw Darion Kendrick come in and just like ball hawking everything. Fresh off the Rams, getting cut from them, so it's not a coincidence, that these guys are coming in and doing that. Drake Thomas, before he was a starter, was able to do this stuff as well. But I think that the coaching staff does a really good job of, if they know, like, going into like Wednesday's practice, hey, we might not have such and such, and they can build a plan for whoever might play. I think they do a really good job. Now, if some guys have to just jump in, then we've seen it not go as well, to be expected. I remember thinking that with like Shane Waldron and Andy Dickerson, the former O-line coach that they had. When O-linemen were like rolled their ankle and had to leave, and a new guy came in, it would get ugly. But if you give him a week to prepare, then yeah, Stone Forsythe could look okay for a week or two. Jake Curran could look okay I think Jake just got a game ball on whatever team he's on. Carolina, maybe. Like, you give some of these guys a week or just like a few days of practice to say, hey, this is what insert player here does well or doesn't do well. Here's our plan. Not everybody's just equipped to just run in there and just go play. That's a particular set of skills I'm not sure everyone has. And we saw that with this team even. They just threw Nehemiah Pritchett in there, and it was like, oh, Baker Mayfield was like, it's on. That's not. But if you give Nehemiah a few days to prep, probably be fine. Shaquille Griffin too came in a Jags game. He had time to prep. He didn't know he was going to be up till like Saturday, but he still, it was a possibility. So I think that's where the coaching staff on defense has done a really good job. I think on offense, yeah, it could get dicey. You lose a guy. I don't care like how many days they have to prep. The way Charles is playing right now, you don't want to lose Charles. The way Jax is playing right now, got to put Jax in bubble wrap. When I saw Jax out there in the fourth quarter today, I was like, are you guys out of your mind? I'm not even sure I would have played Jackson second half of that game. As valuable as he is to the offense. Like, we're up 38-7. If we need Jax to put this game away, we're doing something wrong. And you know how I know that they can get it done without him? That drive that I mentioned, that long one with all those runs, man, Jax was out there only for like a couple of plays. They started that drive in 22 personnel. Only receiver on the field was Cody White. They got 30 yards in the first snap. They don't need Jackson Coop in situations like that. So those guys are so important, particularly Jax, I should say. You lose him, lose Sam. It gets real dicey. So I'm less confident in the like value over the backup on the offense, depending on who you're talking about, Charles, Jax, Sam. But on defense, I'm not as worried. They've had to play multiple games without Spoon, multiple games without Jay Love. The secondary still ain't never been full, ever. The whole season, it hasn't been. And these guys are still making plays at a high level. So that's why I'm not as worried. Only thing is, one last thing on this. On defense, they need at least 3 of their edge rushers. If it gets of Chenna, D-Law, D-Hall, Mafe. Always need at least 3 of them. If it gets down to 2, don't care what 2, then you're in trouble. So that's where I think the injuries could hurt them on defense.
Let's stick with the defense. Mike will go with Phil Birnbaum. Woolen was dominant on Sunday. Do you think he has won back his starting job moving forward?
I think when Josh comes back, he'll probably start again. But no matter when Josh comes back, hope he comes back soon. He's concussed, so hope he's doing okay. But hey, man, whether he gets a job back or not, can we just shout out Reek here for a second, man? We shout out Reek, who's basically been in trade rumors since week 2. Since the Niners game. It's like, maybe they should trade the guy. Maybe they should bench him. We've been getting asked about him for quite some time now. And like, to Reek's credit, you ain't hurt. Like, he's not going on here with a bunch of AJ Brown cryptic tweets, or Instagram posts. No rum. I've had nothing to report in the locker room that I've heard, off the record about Reek being a bad teammate, not practicing hard. He's just been the same guy, man. And there is something, there's value in that, because it can be hard, to be in trade rumors, to lose your starting spot, to just, feel like you're going the wrong direction, because everybody wants to get better every year in their career, right? And no one wants to be like, damn, it's year 4 now, I'm not starting no more. What's going on? But then they have to play you anyway because guys keep getting hurt. I mean, he's not dumb. I'm sure he knows that, and been solid, been very, very solid every week. Strapping up, playing hard. That's why I didn't mind when he got the taunting call last week. I'm like, I don't care. Reek just hit that dude hard as hell. Stare at him, cuss at him, wave goodbye, whatever. You earned it. You played hard, you know. So I feel like it's going to take this time. Shout out Reek, man, because boy, he Chris, did they get some slow mos of these PBUs he had today? Because he
Yeah,
was strapping up.
the one against Marvin Harrison on the left side, where Marvin, I think, runs a comeback and Reek gets turned around, but he uses his speed and he doesn't go up on the play, uses his left arm and is able to stretch out PBU. Beautiful. I'm sure Mike McDonald smiled on that play because when he's locked in, he is one of the best. It's not as if Marvin Harrison's a scrub. He's a very talented player. He has his issues here and there, but Reek don't care about that. Reek's saying, "You trying to throw the football on me?" And he was able to make an incredible play. And when people are saying bench Reek, well, if Reek is not in on that play, that's a first down and more because Reek just has the intent, just things that you can't replicate. His height, his speed, his length. Those are things you don't have on the roster outside of Reek. Yes, Kendricks is very talented, but there's a reason why he's your third or fourth corner. Same with Shaquille Griffin, a veteran. This is his second stint with the Seahawks. There's a reason why he's not starting. So Josh Jobs out with an injury. Next man up, Reek Woolen. He's earned it, and he's proven that he can be valuable to this defense. So let's quiet the trade talks. Enjoy him while you have him because he could be gone, and then you'll see what it's like with life after Reek. Might be a little different, but for now, you gotta give the guy some love. He's doing a really good job, and what more could you ask for in this scenario when you have guys that are out with injuries and one of your best corners steps up and does exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, he had a couple real quick, couple PBUs in the end zone today. In particular, he was saving points today as well. Shout out Reek, man. It's not easy to just stay locked in as he has been. You know, PBUs on the goal line. Marv went on. I'm looking at my notes now. He had one on Trey McBride as well. Yeah, come on, man. Stop playing with Reek, man. He can cover. The boy can cover with the best of them.
True. Brian Lindy. Number 3, Eamon Warrior looks like the real deal, but are you concerned about his injuries? I don't remember him having the injury bug in college, just a function of how hard he plays, or is it bad luck?
Yeah, I mean, injury, I feel like we've talked about this on the show before, maybe not recently. Injury history is not all that predictive, I should say, particularly when you're young. You know, you can come in, we see guys get drafted all the time Rashad Penny is probably the example I point to the most. Never got hurt in college, like at all. Think about that. Think what you guys know about Rashad now. And think about the fact that he spent 4 years at San Diego State and was never hurt. Like nothing serious to the point where he had to miss games. And then what happened when you get to the league? Some guys are super banged up in college and have like ACL tears and whatever, and they get to the league and they're fine. It just depends. Some guys start off their careers where they're banged up. Ken, I think, was banged up to start his career here. Jax was hurt. Jax needed surgery before like week 1 of his rookie year. DK didn't play in this preseason his rookie year. It happens. So with Spoon was hurt to start. Shoot, Jax didn't even play his final year in college because of his hamstring. I'm pretty sure. So and Jax has been mostly fine. Hurt his wrist. Like I said in the preseason, but so no. Long and short of that is no. I'm not really. It's when you get older, and then when you start having stuff that lingers. Like knee stuff, like what Abe Lucas had with the knee stuff, that felt concerning. Before I got more details, like okay, this seems concerning. Back problems is usually when I'm like, okay, you're done. Your back doesn't get better, really. Mostly, neck problems usually pretty worried on those. I think DK was like a medical red flag for some teams because he broke his neck, Ole Miss. So, but no, I think Nick like rolled his ankle, week 1, got kicked in the wrist or something. No, that stuff I'm not worried about. And when you start having like, oh man, why is this guy's groin always bad? What's up with this guy's knee? Oh, his back's doing what now? That stuff is where I get worried. But no, I'm not worried about that. At least not now. Shoot, Julian Love's another player working in reverse in that way. Julian has been fine the whole time he's been here. Hammy got tweaked once, and I was like, damn, where J Love at? But I'm not worried about J Love and the injury history. But that just goes to show you how it is. To the point of this question, though, Nick is a baller. Nick is what teams need in today's game. Like he is like a Cam Chancellor, but it's like they're using Cams differently now than they were back then. They're using a Kyle Hamilton and a Derwin James and a Nicky Manwari. They're using these guys differently. But the way that they do it is like it's almost a necessity, I think. And you can get away with a traditional nickel that's good. I forget who the Broncos nickel is, but I know like the Texans have like Jalen Petrie, for instance. Like so you can get away with like a different body type for that big nickel type dude, but that you need one of those, I think, for your defense to be real great in today's game. Last year the Vikings had a really good one. I forget his name, number 44, I think, with dread. So yeah, Nick's real deal. Nick at the line of scrimmage is like what we're seeing from the Ravens and Kyle Hamilton at the line of scrimmage. It's just really game changing stuff.
Ryan Turner.
There he is.
Yes, sir. Woolen and Knight have taken a lot of flack for perhaps underperforming in some fashion. Mike, dig in on your perception of Mike McDonald's coaching style / culture that has kept these young men in the fight to grow and still produce when the opportunity presents itself.
That's a good one. You know, Chris, what stands out to me more so, there's two parts. Mike McDonald, that is the culture of the Ready Squad, and like always calling it like the 70-man roster to make those guys feel like they're a part of the whole mission. I do think that's really important. Messaging does matter. Pete was big on messaging. It worked. Mike McDonald's big on messaging. It's working. I think also equally powerful is the on the roster in the locker room testimonials or testaments, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say, that these guys can look to. Like, for instance, today I was talking to Kobe Bryant. I asked him about T Knight. He was like, T Knight is somebody like I always believed in. He's someone I talk to like every day, you know, about like he's just like someone I talk to and encourage all the time. I was like, why do you talk to him every day? What was so special about him? He was just like, one, I know he's a good player, but two, he's like, I've been there. You know, I've been in the lineup, not in the lineup, have to wait my turn, play special teams, play in a sub package, whatever, you know. So he's like, a T Knight can look at a Kobe and hear from a Kobe and be like, okay, my time's still coming. Like, oh, look, Kobe did it. Because sometimes, and that's in all of our professions, I feel like having someone who did the thing that you're trying to do or that you're going through is very helpful. And when you have guys on the roster who you can look to, I do think there's a lot of value in that. Whether you're looking at you're a practice squad guy, and now you can be like, you know, man, I don't like that I'm not getting no burn right now. Yeah, but then you look at Ty Okada. Look at the moment. Look at Ty Okada grinded on the practice squad. Now he's doing this thing. Josh Jobe. Look at a Kobe. You know, I think that very similar to Pete's previous culture, there was a lot of UDFAs you could look to doing the same thing. It was like, oh, I remember Puna one time told me, he was like, man, Doug's a big inspiration to me. You know, he got paid as a UDFA. You know, so if he can do it, I can do it. That's two guys that I can't even think of two different guys in terms of body type and play styles and what they're asked to do. It's Puna versus Doug. But that was inspiring to him, and it mattered to him to have an example just sitting across the room of what he could be if he locks in. So I think that's really important for these guys. I can go on and on, but that matters, I think, as much as anything, you know, is to see these guys who were either late picks or had to bounce around teams and be like, damn, man, this sucked, man. I'm setting edges. I'm on the practice squad, blah, blah. But it's like, then Cody White gets caught up, has a 60-yard touchdown Sunday Night Football. It's like, oh, well, if I do my part, you know, I can get caught up, do my thing, you know? And I think that's huge. I think that's really part of it. Maybe not so with Reek, but in the T Knight example, I think stuff like that matters because these guys, it's like a each one teach one type of thing, you know? So I'm glad Kobe mentioned that to me today, but there's so many instances of that. I think all around the roster of like, man, if I can lock in, I can be like so-and-so. And it's not just so-and-so is some distant guy from the 90s. He's right over there. His locker's right over there. I can be like so-and-so right there. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's on another team. Maybe Jarek Reed needed to leave. Now he can go ball, put some stuff on tape for the Titans and be the next Ty Okada is now. Just couldn't be it here. You know, I think all that stuff matters quite a bit. So appreciate the question. It gave me a chance to throw that Kobe anecdote in from today, because I do think that's a big part of what we're seeing right now is guys who've been in their shoes who can kind of walk them through how to make stuff shake, even when you're on the practice squad or on the bench for a little bit.
This is from Axel MTG. Is the run game the Seahawks we saw in the second half repeatable? And does it have anything to do with Olu being in at center?
So Chris can attest to this. I rewatched that drive I mentioned before we recorded today. Boy, Olu was moving. Olu was doing his thing, man. That was impressive. It wasn't just Olu, by the way. I think AJ Barner cleared out Calais on one of those plays. Charles was clearing guys out. Olu was clearing guys out. Gray Zabel clearing guys out. Zach was making guys miss. But yeah, I think Olu played real well. And that drive, I haven't rewatched the whole game. And then me and Chris also, we talked a lot of pre-game, pre-production, it sounds like. Referenced this like 10 times. Another thing that we mentioned, this was, at least anecdotally, I don't have like the PFF numbers or anything. This was easily the best missed tackle forced game by the running backs today. All three. George, Ken, Zach. Like, Chris, it felt like in real time, I was like, okay, now you guys know how to make guys miss. Everybody was making DBs miss today. Chris, I thought that was as big a, let me pull up the number before I toss it to you real quick. The Seahawks running backs today, George, I don't really care about the Shaheed rushes, and there's some kneel downs in there that are throwing the numbers off. So you just look at the running backs today. The running backs combined for 181 yards on 35 carries. That's 5.2 yards per carry. They combined for 10 first downs. That's a season high. Wow, that's huge. So, and the best success rate of the year, and then 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And I think, Chris, a lot of that has to do with the blocking, but also that this was the most elusive I've seen their whole running back room be today.
Yeah, it was impressive. Took them 10 weeks, but hey, what more could you ask for, right? So Mike McDonald talks about stacking wins. Well, this is a stack for the offensive line to continue to stack in the ways they want to run the football. The toss worked, Mike. I can't believe it. They threw a toss Charbonnet. It was successful. They threw a toss to Shaheed and it was also successful. Don't have to worry about that and count as much, but you get my point. They were able to do things that they have been struggling with effectively. And to your point about running backs making guys miss, they did that. Or Zach Charbonnet just plowing through 2 or 3 defenders, punishing them, saying, this is what we're going to do, and you have to stop us. And they couldn't stop him. The Cardinals didn't have enough to stop him. It just didn't work. Calais Campbell had a few pop plays where he made splash plays, but consistently they won, as you alluded with the stats. They did a really good job of running the football on Sunday against the Cardinals. And now, can they do it consistently? And the biggest thing is they did it in the second half when they needed a big drive. When they needed to chew up some clock, they did that. They chewed up about 7 minutes of clock, 13-play drive, including the field goal that they kicked. That's how you want to do it, because prior to that, there were too many games where it's 3 and out and they punt it back to the other team, and the other team has a chance to make up for a mistake or here and there and try to make the game closer. That wasn't the case on Sunday. It was that specific drive, 13 plays of smash mouth. We're going to be more physical than you. We're going to run it down your throat, and we're going to do it over and 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 over again, 12 times. And then, we came up a little short. Well, you know what? We're in field goal range. So guess what we're getting out of it? We're getting points. Too many times, it doesn't end in anything. It just results in the best punter in the league, and Michael Dixon, who they extended, getting a chance to use his leg, which that's why you pay him. But you guys get my point. The thing is, they have been struggling to do that. And I think on Sunday, they just said, okay, let's take the next step. And now let's stack on this. Let's see against the Rams, who is a good football team. If you have a lead with 6 minutes to go, you're up by 6. Can you run the clock out, go kick a field goal, and now you're up 2 possessions? That, I think, is going to be game-changing. Because, to be honest, based on how these two teams playing, it could come down to who has the football last, who can have that last drive to put it away. And if Sam can mitigate the turnovers, because as you mentioned, Mike, he has a bug right now. Let's see if he can shake that bug if it comes down to it, because I believe it could be a tight one on Sunday as the Seahawks will take on the Rams. This next one is from E's World I'm just going to go with E. Why does it seem the offense is not as productive in the second half, even disregarding the big lead in some of these games? Also, why does Clint hate K9?
I selfishly have Ken Walker on my big money fantasy league, so I empathize with the sentiment being expressed there. I am very happy for George Halani. When I needed them points, boy. When I saw George had the ball, I said, "Wait a minute, at a 36? Oh, you're killing me, Petey." Um, so I don't know what Clint had. It really does feel weird though. It's like, man, I guess they're just trying to reward everyone for working hard, which I feel. But I mean, damn, man, Ken running that ball just so electric. You know, it really is. I feel like he should get more run. Also, let me look up what their EPA per play is on offense in the second half and where that ranks. Just for it, there's some. It will not be totally revealing, but I'm curious where the number is. It is. Ooh, I gotta scroll. What do you think? Where do you think they are, Chris? In EPA per play, according to True Media, in the third and fourth quarter. So I'm gonna scrap overtime from this sample.
Well, does that include after today's performance?
Yes, this is updated. True Media updates in
Okay.
real time.
They probably moved maybe a spot, so I'll go 23rd.
27th.
Okay.
27th. Yeah. So not great. Now, granted, when you're in blowouts, you know, you're just trying to kneel, you got some kneel downs in there and stuff like that. But yeah, not great. Most of the other good offenses are all towards the top, with the exception of Philly, which is 23rd. But yeah, like Green Bay's 1, Buffalo's 2, Indy's 3, Rams at 4, Chiefs 5, Lions 6. So you know, so the good wow, Joe Flacco led Bengals are up here. So I do think that is a potential concern, which is why I was so excited and wanted to just write about and mention and lead my story on the Athletic on Sunday with the run game. Gotta be everything Chris has said. When you're up, that is really championship ball. That scenario you described. You're up 6, you just get points, and the game's over. Can you do that? And I think that to add context to your example, I think it's important that you bleed clock beforehand, because if you just because with the Seahawks before as they're currently constructed, their most reliable way of scoring points is by throwing it to jacks. So in the scenario you outlined, say they are up 6. A 50-yard bomb to jacks for a touchdown is great. Now you're up 13. But if there's still 5 minutes left, then you kind of didn't accomplish the same thing as, you know, if you'd have just grinded a 4-minute drive and kicked the field goal to go up 9. Now the game is just effectively over, and there's a big difference there. I think the Steelers game really illustrated that. They had the 3rd and 9, and then Sam spins out of trouble and finds AJ Barner for how many yards that was, and he throws the 43-yarder to Jacks. But then they ended up with 3rd and 19 on the goal line there. And thank God for Ken scoring there, but that was just going to be a field goal drive, and it's still a ball game, you know. So, being able to run that there is very important. So, I think that to the question about the second half offense, and Chris, by the way, for those curious, the Seahawks have the number 1 offense by EPA per play in the first half. So they are very much a tale of two halves team right now. One of the best in the league, them and the Colts. And then the second half, they're just right there with the Texans. So not good. I really think that's a product of the run game. I think you look at the teams, run game and third down, which are connected. So you got to be able to run it. Today I'm really encouraged by today because that Cardinals front is good. They knew the run was coming, couldn't stop it. They're making DBs miss. Yeah, this was the and then the making the DBs miss thing is so important. Like George Halani's touchdown easily could have just been like a 3-yard run. No, but he shakes that DB out of his cleats and scores a touchdown. That was the difference. Zach's touchdown, that easily could have been like a run of like 3 yards down to the 2, but no, he hurdles. He takes on the DB in the hole and basically just jumps over him and scores a touchdown. Like you have to make DBs miss in this scheme. Like that's how you break the big ones. The DeMarcado cat had like a 55-yard not touchdown run. Had a 55-yard run, I think, in the fourth quarter because Ty Okada took a bad angle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ty makes that play. I'm not looking at it. My guess is, what would that be? Like an 8-yard gain, maybe, Chris? 11-yard? Like, it wouldn't have even been an explosive gain, I don't think, you know, if Ty makes the right play. It didn't make the play. So the game was 55 yards. So the making DBs miss is crucial part of the run game as well, not just the blocking. You got to block well enough to get them to a DB, then it's on the backs. And they've been doing a very poor job of that, I thought, before today. But that's why today was so encouraging. If you make DBs miss in this scheme, you're going to look like Saquon looked against the Eagles last year, where it's generational. Like you can do that if you if your running backs do their part, and today they did.
The big Ginge. Should we be worried about center? Sandell probably won't be able to play by the Rams games. I want to have, hopefully, Olu will do well, but he's not starting for a reason. ...
I don't think that the not starting for a reason thing means you stink per se. For instance, Torrey doesn't play over Cooper Kupp. Doesn't mean Torrey not good. See what happened when Torrey got to be wide receiver too. Look great. Some guys just need an opportunity. And that's what a lot of guys were saying about T Knight today too. They were just like, we knew T Knight could ball. Our linebackers are just good. So he had to wait. That's fine. No, from what the little bit that I watched live and then rewatch, I'm not too worried about Olu. I've actually never thought Olu was bad. We've talked about Olu on the show. I think before they drafted him, we had Nick Baumgartner on, I believe, who mentioned him as one of the guys to maybe look at. He won the Remington Trophy as a best center, I believe, in college, coming out of Michigan. So we were never low or down on him or anything like that. I thought his play strength wasn't the greatest, but watching today, Jesus Lord, he was moving guys. So not as worried. The snapping thing was concerning, but it's very easy to chalk that up as like you hadn't snapped the ball to Sam in a while. I think literally their first snap they botched.
Pretty sure it was.
Yeah. So it's not ideal. It's not an excuse, but it's easy to be like, okay, you give them a week. Like if they know Jalen Sundell is not going to play, well, if Olu just snaps to Sam all week, I think he'll be fine. Olu knows how to snap the ball. Not worried about that. So no, I think that the thing I'm worried about with the Rams is just protection, because the Rams are the protection and then just dealing with their front in general. I don't know how much of the Rams you guys all watch, but the Rams have like just as good a defense as the Seahawks. Like their run defense is just as good as the Seahawks. Their front just as ferocious. So they do a lot of the things well too. So if you do put the ball in harm's way against them, you're going to have a problem. But if you can get these guys off the ball, you'll be okay. That's not just an Olu thing. That's everybody. Tight ends, whatever, receivers. There were some bad plays today in the run game that were just very clearly, the receiver didn't touch anybody. So now it's just a 2-yard gain. So that's not just the O-line, but I think everyone blocked well today. And if you do that, you'll be fine against anyone, Rams included.
This next one comes from our guy, Kimwell. The Seahawks, maybe / Sam Darnold, have a turnover in 8 of the 9 games and are tied for first in turnovers a game. Is this fluky or is this a legit concern?
Yeah, some of the if we were to go through, actually, do we have time to? Here, Chris, let's go through. Sam has 10. I think those are the main problems. I'm not really worried about Jack's fumbling, which I think he's done. One of those turnovers is probably also who somebody turned it over that don't touch the ball. Milrow.
Cup.
No, Milrow.
Oh.
Milrow had the pitch. Oh yeah, Cup threw a pick too. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stuff like that, I'm not too worried about. Because that's very easy for Clint to just not do that.
Not play.
That was just stupid in real time. So don't do that. Why are we having Cup throw? All the thing Cup good at, we having him throw. Why are we doing it? No, for real, that's crazy. Anyway, so let's go through Sam's 10 turnovers here. I got the hyperlink up. So he had the sack fumble against the Niners. Abe lost his block there. That's pretty bad. He had the 4th and 1 play action toss against the Steelers. That was bad. That's a bad decision. He also got picked by Jalen Ramsey in that game. Also a bad decision. So those were 2 bad ones. The one against the Bucks, that was bad. You got to get the ball out. Let's see.
Especially when you know you're hot.
Yes, he was hot on that one. Let's see. Deep middle intended for AJ Barner. Oh, Stingley picked him off. Yeah, it was a bad ball. Sack fumble against the Texans. Will Anderson, also bad. He should have just thrown it at AJ's feet. Yeah, there's some bad decisions here. The one last week against the Commanders, bad decision. Threw it behind Cody White. Let's see. Today, Josh Sweat. Yeah, you got to get rid of the ball. One of them hit. I didn't get a good replay of this. I meant to ask you. Did that hit
AJ Barner?
Yeah,
hit AJ Barner in the helmet, so that was just very unlucky.
Yeah, it was a little fluky. And those happen. I'm not too worried about those. But most of these are not fluky,
Half
which is
of
why I
them,
wanted
right?
to read them. I would say more than half. The aborted snap today, but that's what that goes down as between him and Olu. I would call fluky just because that it's the first play with your new center. That's just that can quite literally happen anytime to anybody. And then the one that hits off AJ's helmet. But these other ones are like they're a process. Like someone needs to play better, the ball needs to be better, a better decision needs to be made. Um, Hold on to the ball, in the case of two of these. So yeah, I think again, going back to what we talked about earlier in the show, I think the team does not really have much of a turnover problem. I feel like everyone else, if you just ask them to do the stuff that they do well, they're not gonna turn it over. Like if Cooper Cup was just fumbling the ball, then we'd have an issue. No, his turnover is him trying to throw to Jax on the run. It was stupid. Cup's probably gonna turn it over. You ask him to do that every week. So don't. Just don't. I think one of Jax's fumbles is technically him like trying to do that hook and ladder play. I think he technically fumbled on that because he threw it backwards, and then he has like a legit fumble. I think against the Niners in the first game. So yeah, he does. So I think it's not a team wide thing. And again, the running backs haven't fumbled. It really is the quarterback, and I don't think Sam is like playing poorly, but he's at his best when he gets the ball out. He's holding that thing, it can get ugly. When he's playing on time and in rhythm, we haven't talked about the deep ball to Jax. Oh, yeah, you did mention it. That is Sam. It is whoo, 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 whoo. That was beautiful. One of my group chats had mentioned to me that while that was happening, I think Russ got sacked and lost the game. In that Bears game, I was like, oh damn. Meanwhile, Sam's out here throwing moonballs, and
Why
Russ
was
just
Russ in the game?
Dart got hurt. Dart, I don't know how much of the Giants are watching, but
wow.
Dart plays like a bowling ball. His career is not going to be long unless he changes his play style immediately. Like he just plays like he doesn't have a helmet on. He's just running around, just diving head first all the time, hurtling. Yeah, Dart needs to chill out. And when he got concussed, it was like, oh yeah, of course he did. I hope he's okay, but yeah, that's terrible. Anyway, so yeah, that's why Russ was in. I haven't seen the Russ play, but someone texted me. It was like right after Sam threw the ball to Jax. But yeah, Sam is play on time. He can make some off-script stuff happen, but you invite more issues when you not be able to run the ball. So no, I don't think that the team has a problem. I really think if we look at them one by one, the bigger, more systemic, predictable problem is the more you have Sam back there holding it, the more bad things can happen. So don't do that. Get rid of it if you're Sam and run the ball. Your Clint. Run the ball to people whose job it is to run it. Not Jalen Milrow. Don't do that. So yeah, that's how you fix that issue.
This next one is from Chris Hamilton. Over or under 1,600 receiving yards JSN this season?
Man, I was just talking. I told Brady Henderson this. We sit next to each other in the press box. I was like, Brady, you know what's crazy? Jax can go for 2,000 yards this year, which he's not on pace to anymore. I think it's closer to here. I got it pulled up. Jax is over 1,000. Jax is at 1,041. Here, Chris, let me do some math right here on the show, live on air. 1,041 divided by 9. All right, times 17. So he's right on pace to break the record. The record, I think, is 1964. He'll crack that by a couple yards at this pace. And he won't even sniff Offensive Player of the Year because Jonathan Taylor is ridiculous. Oh my God. Oh, this dude, he's unreal. So I do think he's going to go over because they do a good job of making sure he gets his touches. I mean, even in a game like today, Sam threw the ball 12 times. Half of those went to Jax. Sam had 178 yards passing, 93, with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then another 60 or 74 of that was the Cup catch and run. And God bless Cup. I ain't never felt more connected to an NFL player than watching the energy on Cup's battery drain with each stride. I felt, I was like, dog, I feel you. I've tried to just, I'm sure 7 years ago, that's a 70-yard touchdown or whatever, maybe even 4 years ago. But I didn't go to Cup's press conference, but I'm sure he had to, he knows, like, yeah, my wheel's not the same as they used to be. But that accounted for. I bring up that play. That was 67 yards, pretty much out of structure. That accounted for 67 of the 178 that Sam had. So I think Jax is still the center of the whole passing game, and I think he'll go pretty far over. I don't think he's going to break the record, because I think that it's just going to be hard to do. Teams are just eventually going to be like, we're not going to let him get the record. What teams should have done to Mike Evans last year. I would have quintuple teamed Mike Evans if I was that team that played him. Remember that week 18 last year?
Yeah.
He needed like 4 yards to go over 1,000. They just threw him like some little out route. Boy, I had 10 guys over there on Mike Evans. You better throw this ball somewhere else. You're gonna get this record on me. I think some teams are gonna start to do that with Jax towards the end. They don't want to be a team that gets burned by him. But yeah, I think my guess would probably be like 1,700, which is that is a crazy season, man. Think about it. In the Let Russ Cook year, I think DK had like 1,300. It was second team all pro. Like what Jax is on pace for is just really nuts. He just cannot be guarded. I ain't seen a corner yet on tape that I trust to guard Jax. So God bless the corners that have to guard him the rest of the year.
At RG in Seattle, Seahawks versus Rams is a blowout. What does that look like for if either Seattle or the Rams win?
All right, which one should we do first? A blowout Rams win or a blowout Seahawks win?
Let's go Seahawks. They've blown out opponents back to back weeks. So let's do that.
Yeah. They haven't trailed since week 6. That's crazy.
Well, damn.
I said that today to Brady in the press box. I was like, yeah, they haven't trailed really. They don't even be down. They have to come from behind. I think the Jags scored first, I want to say, and that was the last time that they trailed. So yeah, they didn't trail against the Texans. They didn't trail. I know they didn't trail against the Commanders. And then they damn sure didn't trail today. So they haven't trailed since week 6, and they've been up double digits in the second half, I think, in most games. And they've had a fourth quarter lead in every game. And they just blew it in the Bucs game and then blew it in the Niners game. So they've been, I wouldn't say they were in control of that Bucs game. I would say they were in control of the Niners game to the point of like, this is a very good team, which is reflected in their EPA numbers for the nerds, and for the non-nerds, playing differential, plus 103. Anyway, so what does a Seahawks blowout look like? Turnovers. It's getting to Stafford and making him make mistakes. However, Chris, that has not been easy. So we looked up the turnovers for Sam. Remember I said he's at 4% with his turnover rate, second highest in the league among qualifying quarterbacks. So this is like Sam's number 2 out of like 33. So it's not every quarterback, because I would imagine some guys who have gotten the game for like a hot second have turned it over at a little bit of a higher rate, so I'm taking those guys out of the sample. Like Jalen Milroe, for instance, I just looked it up. His turnover rate is like 33%. Well, he's played like 5 plays. So it's not totally fair. So of the guys who are actual play a lot, Stafford's turnover rate, 1.1%. Stafford is not I haven't watched his tape. I'll do it more before we have Nate on the show on Tuesday, but Stafford is not making a lot of mistakes. That is a problem for everyone, but most notably the Seahawks coming up. So Stafford, I'm looking at it now. He threw a pick. Cody Barton picked him off. Oh, wow. He threw a pick in the Eagles game. He had a bad snap against the Niners, and then got sack fumble against the Ravens. So he's only thrown 2 picks. Wow, that's it? Jesus, man. Stafford's killing it. Wait, Stafford's only got 2 picks? Dog, did you know this, Chris?
I did not know that.
Listen to this. Stafford, 25 passing touchdowns this year, 2 picks. Ay, Dios mío. Whoo. Yeah, okay, so to beat these guys, you're going to have to turn him over. There's your answer there. I didn't realize. I haven't dove into the numbers totally, and I'll do that more this week. So that's the simple one. That's how you blow this. If you're going to blow the Rams out, you need some turnovers. You're not just going to force 7. You're not going to have one of those, sometimes, Chris, you get in a game, it's like, wow, they ain't got a third down in about an hour, No. I don't think they're going to go through one of those with the Stafford Rams, or they haven't converted a third down in about an hour. Excuse me. I don't think they're going to do that. You're going to need to force some turnovers, those picks, get the ball to bounce away on some fumbles, block a kick or two, something. You need some big momentum swinging turnover plays. That's one. And then what's the other scenario? Seahawks get blown out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that. You know, that's actually real easy to see. Don't run the ball well. Try not running the ball well against the Rams. See how that goes. Boy, that's gonna get ugly quick. Real quick. Because again, that Rams front, that is really real. I didn't get to watch a lot of their game today, so I don't know how they did against the Niners. I just know statistically and from the little bit that I've seen, yeah, that's a real deal team over there. Next week is gonna be fun. I don't want to totally flush this one, Chris, but actually, this brings up interesting conversation. Well, how many questions do we have left before I go on this tangent?
2.
Okay, so we got a little bit of time. Real quick, this is the biggest. This week 11. This is the biggest Seahawks game since when? Me and my
The
editor.
playoff game?
I would. Regular season game, I should say.
I know what you meant, but even then, it's like. But okay, probably the Week 18 game didn't matter because they were out. The Rams decided last season. The Rams decided to bench their starters. So I think would it be who was that? Who was that game against Week 16? Then is that against the Bears?
Oh, last year the Bears. Yeah,
that wasn't. I mean, that was an important game, but they didn't show up. So
yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been years, man. I feel so. Me and my editor were talking about this. I'll probably write about this week. I told him. So I gave him a couple answers. The obvious ones were Week 18 in 2023 and 2022. 2022 was the Rams game where if you win and the Lions win, you're in the playoffs. And they had the same scenario in Week 18. I think they needed the Bears to win or something like that, and then they need to beat the Cardinals. But that was to just be like the 7 seed, which it matters because your season is legitimately on the line. But I think what's about to happen on Week 11 is arguably the biggest game since Week 17 of 2019. When they played the Niners it was for everything, basically. I think it was Jacob Hollister barely doesn't get in. Dre Greenlaw stops him on the goal line. And John Ursua had the one catch that was like a foot further north. It's a touchdown. It was crazy. So I think that because that game basically was winner gets the 1 seed, loser gets the 5. Basically the same scenario that the Vikings and the Lions had last year, I believe, in Week 18. Which is why the Lions had the 1 seed and the Vikings were on the road in the wild card round. That scenario, it's not guaranteed to play out that way, depending on the result of Week 11. But if, like Chris, I was running some numbers, and our playoff simulator, but the Athletic, we got our own now, kind of like 538 used to have, where you can like click the buttons and get the percentages and play out the scenarios. You guys should mess around with it if you're bored. New York Times playoff simulator, just go out there and play with it. But if the Seahawks win on Week 11, they have a 61% chance of winning the division. They lose, that drops to 19%.
Jesus.
That's a massive swing. Now, a lot can happen in between all that, but that just shows you the magnitude of the game. It just really feels like the biggest game in the regular season in like 6 years. Just in terms of what it means for your chances of winning the division and potentially getting the 1 seed. You're in a really good position to get the 1 seed if you can beat the Rams. That's how big the game is. So, yeah, if you guys can think of another game, go ahead and let us know. But for me right now, this feels like the biggest one since that NFC West title game in 2019.
This next one is from Mark Rezanovich, excuse me. Are you guys ready to call the Seahawks serious contenders, or do you need to see more? And if so, what do you need to see?
Where are you at, Chris?
As I opened up with the show, they're contenders. I thought they were contenders after last week too. So they have, I mean, the run game is still something that needs to be consistent. They got to stack on what they did on that 13 play drive and do it again against a team like the Rams. You do that against the Rams, you have really, I don't know. I don't think you have to answer any more questions. I think you did it. You beat a team that was matching you with record, point differential, a really good defense, and in the final minutes, you handle business. So I would consider them if you got 5 teams right now to win the Super Bowl or bust. I would say, yeah, the Seahawks are one of those 5 teams. I mean, let's go ahead and do it right now, right? So in the NFC, you got the Eagles, obviously defending champs. And I would say the Seahawks, and then you could throw in the Bucks if you wanted to. So we'll go with 2 teams: Eagles and Seahawks. And the AFC, I don't know what it is, but I gotta give love to the Chiefs for whatever reason. You can call me just a prisoner of greatness. Maybe that's the
It's
word.
not for whatever reason, brother. You got good reason over there.
Fair enough. So that's one AFC team, and now it gets tough because I honestly don't believe in the Patriots, but they're 8-2. Then you have the Colts; they're also 8-2. Then you got the Broncos at 8-2. So I'm gonna be crazy here, and I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna say the Bills are a contender, even though they lost to Miami on Sunday, which you lose to Miami, I feel like you should probably scrap your any hopes of Super Bowl. But I just believe in Josh Allen. And then, God, are the Ravens still a Super Bowl contender at 4-5? Am I just ignoring the team?
They're gonna win that division. I'll tell you that.
Am I just ignoring the 3 teams that are actually record-wise better? Patriots, Colts, and Broncos. And then, yeah, I will go ahead. I guess give me the Colts. Crazy enough, put the Colts in there. Like those are contenders, and I can't be mad if you say, "Oh, Chris, well, what about the Broncos? They too are contenders. What about the Chargers?" So yeah, there's a lot of teams that are stacking up in the Patriots as well, but I just don't trust those guys yet. They have to show me. I'd rather you just go out there and tell me, yeah, you're a contender. The Seahawks are in that discussion. Long-winded answer. The Seahawks are in that realm. I think so.
Yeah, I think I like to just view contenders based on your conference because if you like how good the Seahawks are relative to the Chiefs doesn't mean that much to me because if they got to play them in a game that mattered, it would be in the Super Bowl. And at that point, I think you've done enough. So I'll look at it just NFC.
Forgot the Lions. My fault. Lions and NFC. My bad. So that would be the. I would probably actually go Rams. Did I forget the Rams too? Damn, I'm over here bugging. Eagles, Rams. Mike just let me bug. Eagles.
No, I was just letting you name your teams.
I screwed.
It's your list.
How did I forget the Rams? Crazy. Eagles, Seahawks, Rams, Lions. Those are your 4 in the NFC.
Yeah, that's probably where I would go to. I think I'm out on the Bucks. Although Baker be having them guys fighting, man, for real. Yeah, I think I'm also out on Green Bay. Though I do think, yeah, I'm with you. Seahawks, Eagles, Niners, or excuse me, Seahawks, Eagles, Rams, Detroit. It would be the 4. They're all right there. They're all very good teams. They're all well coached teams. They all can move the ball pretty much however they need to win a game, which I think is really important. We'll see if the Seahawks honestly have the weakest link in that regard. Is like, can they run to win? You know, we haven't really seen them do that today, we haven't seen them do that this year, although today was a good step in the right direction. But yeah, I think very much contenders in the NFC, which is again all I think that really matters. Like if they were to get to just boot smoked by the Colts or something, that would be obviously a setback, but it would not change their NFC outlook to me at all because they wouldn't have to see them to get to Santa Clara. And if they got to Santa Clara, you clearly fixed something that, to me at least, that you would be able to hang with Indy or whoever, the Chiefs. I'm with you on the Chiefs, by the way. Way more so than the Broncos. Get that out of here. So yeah, I got
hey,
like
man,
I do not care about
I know they're 8-2 and their point differential. Let me see what it is. I believe it's like
it's a good point differential. It's like plus 68 or something like that.
Yeah, they got a good
they
defense.
They don't pass the butt to booty test. They don't because their quarterback is booty and their offense
went 10-7. They beat the Raiders 10-7. Oh yeah, that wasn't a fun football game.
No, their offense is booty. The Colts though, well coached team. I will give them that. Anyway, NFC though, I'm right there on the Seahawks, man. I think they're as good as anybody. That's why this game is so important on Sunday. We're looking a little too far ahead, but it's the end of the show, so it's fine. This game is so massive, man. It's so You gotta beat these guys. You got to. You got to. Your season's not over if you don't, because you also get them at home. I believe on Thursday night, later in the year. But you got to get these guys, man. You got to. You need it. Just having that advantage right now, it's massive. It's how you get. That's the next step, like you said, stacking, 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 stacking. What are you stacking towards? Something like this, because the Rams are good, man. I'm excited to go watch some tape of the Rams to really see. I watched their games, but I haven't done a full tape breakdown. I can't wait to see that, because if they feel very similar to the Seahawks in a lot of ways, they are playing great ball.
Last one. Mark has one more for us. Yo, Mike and Chris, I bet $100 on the Seahawks to win the NFC West back in September. They were at plus 850. So if they do win, I get a total of $950. They offered me a cash out of $425 today. Do I take the cash out or do I let that ish ride?
Let it ride. Let it ride. I'm a big well, it depends on the bet, but I love letting it ride. I do think they have a really good shot. Them playing well on the road helps quite a bit. They have some stuff. Their defense travels. That's good. They have other weapons that aren't Cup. I think that matters for the Rams matchups, because you got McVay over there. I just read something about it. Devontae Adams oblique injury. That's interesting. I got to read more on that. It just flashed across my phone here. So yeah, I mean they're in a good spot, man. It's really hard to, and it's not just this Cardinals game. You guys we're in week 10 now. The sample is like we're using this game to talk about larger themes. The Cardinals are not contenders. The Cardinals caught the wrong end of some bad variants today. I still don't think the Cardinals are like booty. I really don't think so. Damn, another thing we talked about before the show. I was telling Chris this also before we recorded today. It was like, yeah, they got blown out very quickly, but like that's just what Mike McDonald's teams do to you. Like they make it can get ugly quick. That's what the Ravens were doing to people in 2023. It was getting ugly very fast. Christmas got ugly for the Niners. They got ugly for the Lions. They got ugly for the Seahawks. These were good teams, good offenses at least, that just it got ugly very fast. Because that's what Mike McDonald's defense do to you. The ball bounced the wrong way, ball get tipped in the air, fumble, whatever. Next thing you know, you're down 30. It's like, oh damn, bring the backups in. So that's just what they do to you. The Cardinals are not that bad. Like if, for instance, I think that I was telling Chris this too. The Cardinals went for it on like 4th and goal like 5 times. In a normal game, they probably just kick some field goals because they're not blown out, and it's a more normal game. If either one of those Jacoby plays is ruled like a forward pass because Tyrese got there a smidge late, maybe it's a much closer game, So they beat up on a team that I think is a formidable opponent, I should say, about the Seahawks. They haven't beaten up on any team that I think is like just totally unserious other than the Saints. The Saints are a bad operation. That's a bad operation. Outside of them, they've been in control against teams that I respect. So Seahawks, yeah, as good as any team in any conference, but just looking at the NFC, yeah, all the praise that they got last week, which the Seahawks did get a lot of praise last week. I didn't get the Stephen A monologue. We're waiting on that Stephen A, but they should get all that this week because the Seahawks are legit.
Go ahead and cash that, man. No, I'm kidding. Go big, go home. That's what you gotta do. Go big or go home, and I think you should ride it out. Go ahead and collect that $950 because I think the Seahawks definitely have a chance to win this division and then potentially win the NFC. How about that, Seahawks fans? You guys will have in for a treat. So,
Chris, you want to hear a stat?
Go ahead.
It makes me think of that when they end up winning the NFC. The Seahawks haven't hosted a playoff game with fans since 2016. 2016. Remember who they played?
2016 playoffs at home. Was it the Rams?
No, played the Lions.
The Lions. Wow.
Yeah, P. Rich went off in that game, I believe. Yeah, that was the last time they played a home playoff game with fans. That was last time. T. Rawls went off in that game. Looking it up now. That's how long it's been. It's a long time.
It's been so long, Mike. Thomas Rawls played flag football with us.
That's right. He did play that one time. Yeah. No, yeah. It's been so long. Paul Richardson's buff now. You know,
Oh.
if you got, yeah, he is. If you guys
Wow.
go follow P Rich on Instagram. That boy yoked up now. He was skinny as hell back then. So yeah, like that. That's how long it's been. A long time. You know, so I'm if they win the NFC, man, that would be. They haven't got the NFC. They haven't got home field since 2014. But yeah, they haven't hosted a playoff game with fans since 2016. That's way too long.
Wow.
Mike McDonald ends that drought. He's the real deal.
The real deal. Well, we thank you guys for being supporters of the podcast, whether it's via YouTube you're watching us or you're listening via Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate all the love on TikTok. I think we're like 3 shy of 600. So if
Nice.
you're new and wondering what we're doing on TikTok, a lot of the stuff that we talked about on the show, we visualize it for you guys, so you can see what exactly we're referring to. So go to our TikTok, Seahawks Man to Man, check out all our content there, post it as well on Instagram, on our Reels. So check that out as well, and then our YouTube as well, Seahawks Man to Man. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. We appreciate all the love and support. We will catch you guys later this week as we do our preview, and then Mike, I believe, has written a book that is available wherever you get your books. Mike, what's your book called?
Franchise Seattle Seahawks, curated history of the Legion of Boom era. Get them wherever books are sold. I will sign your book in person. You bring it to me at the game. Signed a book today before the game. I always had the books on me. I bring them with me on the road. I know some people have already hit me up about the LA trip. Meet me at the stadium. We'll find a spot. I will bring books for you. I will sign them. If you can't make it to a game, I will ship you a signed book. My DMs are open on every platform. Hit me up. We'll figure it out. I got to send some out this week too. So appreciate all 11 support. Chris is right. We'll do our one big thing. We got the homie Nate, covers the Rams for the Athletic. He'll be on the show dropping Wednesday. Then standout plays Friday, and then full circle, get it back rolling. So appreciate 11 support. Have a good week. We'll catch you in our midweek show. Peace.